not risk open war.
Open war is upon you, whether you would risk it or not. It is an army bred for a single purpose, to destroy the world of men.
When we've created the props, the costumes, the armour that appear in the film, we've been very much aware of the history and cultures of the people that wear the particular costume or use the particular sword that we're making.
Every army in the film has its own specific weaponry. It's all pre-firearm sort of thing, so it's all swords and bucklers and shields and bows and arrows.
You know, elves are all right. They can handle a bow and arrow, but when it comes to close quarter work, you need an axe.
We went to great lengths, hand beating the armour out of plate steel exactly as it had been done in the medieval era, cooking it up in huge furnaces, beating it out on anvils.
And when buckles, for example, were being made for the orcs, I made it very clear that these guys were not allowed to weld anything. You're not allowed to weld it because that's too easy, and that will lead you down paths and into shapes which are not right for the period and for what you're trying to portray. So they ended up doing a lot of heat welding, which is a difficult process because you've got to get two pieces of metal to the right temperature, hit them very hard, and they're one piece.
The sword's been hand ground out of plate spring steel. The hilts and crossbars cast up out of the lost wax casting, exactly how our forefathers would have done it themselves. And in the process, what we were trying to achieve in doing this was making sure that the physics of the manufacturing complemented very closely that which was available 500 years ago.
Stunt swords routinely break because, you know, when you hit them, the shockwaves comes down and they snap out of their hilt. And Richard Taylor, not because, you know, he necessarily wanted to, he was forced to innovate because he couldn't afford to make 5 stunt swords per actor per day. It just would have been absolutely prohibitive. So he sort of completely invented a way to put polyurethane, which is kind of skateboard wheel rubber, into the hilts of these swords so that when the shockwave of contact hit the blade, it would travel down the blade to the hilt and be absorbed into the polyurethane that was hidden under the leather and stitching of the hilts. And we didn't break one stunt sword, which has to be some kind of record.
We went for, say in the case of the Gondorians, a very ceremonial, almost Roman-like armour, as opposed to, say, the Rohan, who are almost Minutemen. They're ready to go at the slightest call to action. They roam the Riddermark. They're ready to take upon any foe that would come into their lands.
What business does an elf, a man, and a dwarf have in the Riddermark? Speak quickly!
Rohan's weapons of choice, when they're on horseback, they have a long spear, a shield. The spear is typically used as a first strike weapon, and they use the shield as a weapon as well.
And action!
Well, my abiding memory of this damn picture is being halfway up a mountain and looking down and seeing 2 members of the wardrobe department struggling up the hill with a hamper with the remainder of my costume in it. And behind them, 2 men from the armory department struggling up the hill with a hamper with my arms and axes and belts and things like that. And then a poor girl stumbling up the hill carrying my helmet, and another one stumbling up the hill carrying my boots. And they put it on me, and 70 pounds later, there I am, fully dressed, and now Peter Jackson says, "Right, John, now I want you to run up the hill." And I run up the hill.
3 days of night's pursuit. No food, no rest, no sign of our quarry, but what bare rock can tell.
That's my vision of Lord of the Rings.
What might give them their legs? Oh. And cut. Okay.
You made me think that a man shouldn't be out of breath after running that short distance. Try it with a 60-pound pack.